This is flat out the weirdest war I have ever seen or ever even heard of. This thing we're a part of in Libya. My number one question to you this morning, my friend, what is the mission? I mean, no one in official Washington seems to know the answer to that question definitively, and it frightens me. So I thought I would ask you. You can't get much out of the commander-in-chief in this regard. He's pretty much shut down the press because he's got better things to do. He is sightseeing with Michelle and the Obama girls deep in the southern hemisphere and schmoozing the Brazilians. Good morning. Nice to have you with us. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. The Bud Man here, Jenna and Jeff as well. And for the next 3 hours, lots of Libya, but lots of other really cool stuff, too. The hottest topics in talk radio. My take and your calls here on the 50,000-watt front porch. So we have this UN resolution that gets passed authorizing international military action in Libya. It not only sets up a no-fly zone, which frankly seems to be working pretty well and doing what a no-fly zone primarily does, and that is keeping the bad guys' airplanes on the ground, in this case, so Gaddafi doesn't just absolutely wipe out the rebels like you're shooting fish in a barrel. That seems to have worked, and it has pulled the rebels back from the apparent brink of defeat in the second largest city in Libya, and that is Benghazi. So the no-fly zone, initiated by the French, but really being run primarily by us, seems to be effective at this point in time. But it is early, I caution you. Remember, we did not win the day in Iraq with that shock and awe aerial attack that began the war there at about this very time in March of 2003. Shock and awe was not enough. But shock and awe this time around, it looks like when you read the UN resolution, and this is what it took to get all of these nations on board in the Security Council, shock and awe is going to have to be enough because the UN resolution does not permit a ground assault, and it calls for no occupation. This is an unbelievable situation. And President Barack Obama, I have no idea exactly what's going on with this guy, but when you're looking around for a commander-in-chief and some guy to lead the greatest military on earth, I don't think you're going to be thinking, first of all, primarily about a left-wing, linguini-spine liberal community organizer from Chicago. You know, and you can tell from reports that are coming out with a lot of credibility in Washington that Barack Obama didn't want any part of this. It doesn't fit into his plan. And that Hillary really had to goad him into doing this. And as for the Defense Department, they're all over the lot. Defense Secretary Gates, as I say, this is the weirdest war. I'm doing all of this for you right now to lay out my case that this is the weirdest war I have ever seen, and I have really no idea what the mission is there. Gates, he didn't want to get involved in Libya. You know, now he's saying we're going to do the no-fly zone, but then in a couple of days we're going to dish it back to the rest of the coalition. The rest of the coalition here, if Gaddafi really tightens up and toughens up, the rest of the coalition, they're clueless. The French are going to win the day. We said, thank you, we will take back the military leadership and we will take out Mr. Gaddafi. Come on. We fired well over 100 Tomahawk missiles. The Brits fired 2. Who are we going to dish this back to? The Arab League? Oh, the Arab League said, yeah, you ought to do this. Get in there, take out Gaddafi. We don't like him. He tries to assassinate us. He's bad news. Do the dirty work, get him the heck out of there, and then we worry about things. Now the Arab League is starting to renege and saying, well, we thought you just, keep planes on ground. We didn't know that you would be shooting here, shooting there, shooting over here. You're shooting at another Muslim nation. We're not happy. They're going to have a meeting now. I mean, give me a break. This whole thing looks to me like it is absolutely in chaos. Kudos to the United States military. I mean, they really do the job. They're terrific. They got the submarines firing the missiles from under the Mediterranean. They got the B-2 stealth bombers that flew 25 hours in a round trip from Missouri, dropped 45 2,000-pound bombs. And as Michelle was reporting, they have struck a hit right next to Gaddafi's iconic tent and wiped out half the building there. We don't know where he is, but the issue on Muammar Gaddafi, the resolution does not include taking out Gaddafi. Do you agree with me that has to be the mission? It's not officially, but that has to be the mission. Did our Commander-in-Chief, Barack Obama, the President of the United States, not say within the past couple of weeks, Gaddafi has to go? But you can't get anybody in the Obama administration, from him to the Joint Chiefs of Staff head, Mullen, to Gates, to Hillary, to anybody to say, well, absolutely you can't do this without taking out Gaddafi. What is going on? Tell me, is this the weirdest war you have ever witnessed or even heard about? And please tell me, because from one end of the political spectrum to the other in Congress, they're really ticked that they weren't cut in on all of this deal. But nobody there really seems to be very, very clear on what the mission is. What is the mission in Libya? 407-916-5400. Oh, wait until you hear the letter that Gaddafi sent to Obama, and wait until you hear Louis Farrakhan blasting Obama. It's coming. 612 on BHL. Real-time traffic and weather together on the twos. Hey, the Budman here for Lake Cardiology, home of the one and only Dr. Ken Kronhaus and the Bud Scan technology, the heart scan breakthrough he pioneered here that saved my life and has saved thousands of other lives. He calls it the Bud Scan in my honor. And I got to tell you, my wife Linda and I were at a charity fundraiser on Saturday night, and we danced the night away. And many times in the course of the evening, I thought about the Bud Scan and how I would not be here to enjoy my wonderful wife and family, and I would not be a part of life were it not for what was revealed by this heart scan that no other test had shown, that I had some issues in my coronary arteries that needed attention big time, or I was headed for a lights-out heart attack. Wow. I've been saved, and I'm living my life, and I'm loving my life, and I'm giving thanks not only to the good Lord Almighty, but to Dr. Ken Kronhaus and his amazing staff at Lake Cardiology. This is where you want to go for all things heart-related. Please, even if you don't have symptoms of heart trouble, you can't be sure that you don't have some issues that need to be dealt with. You can find out definitively what shape your ticker's in. You ask them about the Bud Scan at Lake Cardiology, will you? It's your heart, it's your life. Call them now, 352-735-1400, 352-735-1400.